Welcome to Narrate Your Story TV. This is the show that we do every Thursday. That's right, every Thursday, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Every Thursday, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So who am I when I'm not doing this show? My name is Dr. Christy Ujuku, and I train women on how to narrate your story to stand out from all the noise, be seen as the expert that they are, so that they can attract their ideal clients with it. That's right. And today I have just a special show for you. And we really take this show not just telling a story, not just hearing their story, but we take this show to learn the lessons. That's right. Learn the lessons from the show. And every time I do this show is to serve somebody else. You may be hearing about this story today, tomorrow, or 20 years from now. Every time I do this show, the conversation, the content of this conversation is to help someone out there. So who do I have a pleasure of coming to my show today? I have a pleasure of my next guest, Dr. Regina Platt. That's right. And today we're going to be talking about the power of self-ownership. She's going to be talking about the power of self-ownership. And Dr. Regina Platt is often referred to as the stepnologist, the stepologist. I hope I didn't mess it up. We're talking about the freedom that comes from knowing oneself. Why? Because freedom, as you all know, it comes with a cost. Without further ado, please help me welcome, because we can stay all day. If I keep talking about the things that she has accomplished and what she's currently doing, but I'm going to let her talk about it. Please help me welcome my guest, Dr. Regina Platt. Welcome to the show.
Well, hello, everyone. It is an honor to be in your presence, Dr. Christy.
Thank you for the time for being here. And I'm just so thrilled for this conversation that we're going to have today, because without oneself, nothing else matters. Without oneself, nothing else matters. So the power of self-ownership is huge.
Yes.
The power of self-ownership is huge. It's the power to free yourself from the things that are no longer serving you. The power to free yourself from outside noise. The power to say no. The power to take your power back. The power to go after what you desire in life, what you want to accomplish in life. The power to impact other people's life, to live a more fulfilling life. So the power of oneself is huge. And I'm so glad that you're here to talk about it. So tell those who don't know who you are. Who is Dr. Regina Platt?
I'm a messenger of hope. I come from a background where I've had to go through some things, which most of you have had to go through something throughout your life. But I've chosen to take the steps, right? The things that I've done best, the things that I've achieved, the things that I've went through, and choose to pick out the lessons of those lessons that will be blessings as I step forward. So I can tell you that I am a resiliency coach. Not only a resiliency coach, I am an advocate for those within my community and across my nation, humanity as a whole. And I choose to speak light and not death over others, because if I choose to speak light, that means I got to see life in you. I got to see purpose in you. I got to see love in you. And I know what it felt like not to be seen or valued. So I choose to do differently.
Awesome. I love that. I can't wait to keep diving into this conversation. I've always said that most of the time we hear about people when they have arrived. We hear about people when they are on the mountaintop. But I say that it's in the valley that we learn the greatest lesson. The journey through that valley before you arrive, before you get to the mountaintop, that we learned the greatest lesson. So pull the curtain a little bit. Tell our viewers, how was that journey through the valley for you?
So I would say quickly, the title stepologist comes from the fact that each day we are taking steps. You never within the earth realm obtain the best self. You're taking steps. And so I've had several valleys, but one of the valleys I want to talk about today is when I left my marriage, when the point came to me that I had no other choice but to leave so that I can become the authentic me. Yes, I loved him. Yes, I love the ideal of being married, but the ideal and sitting there, I was dying. And no one recognized that I was dying but me. No one recognized the turmoil that I was going through in the inner me but me. And so to even say that to you, it was my responsibility to free me. And I had to begin that journey stepping first inside of me, where I began to acknowledge that I was hurting. I began to acknowledge that things were going wrong. I began to not acknowledge that I was gracefully broken. And because I was broken, I was able to be restored, right? I was able to take the right steps to begin to see that picture for myself again. But I was hurt. I left with $164 in my pocket. I left with my children's clothes and bags that I had been performing like I was taking to the trash can, but I was putting in the trunk of my car. I left in a strategic manner where I had to plan for this, right? Because freedom was so important, not only for me, but for my children, that I had to plan for this. I had to be vulnerable and do this in a way that the young girl of me would have never done it that way. And so it was a step where I left. I paid someone to beat up the side of my car and put a tire on my car. I pretended as if it was one of my children's birthdays and we were going to celebrate. And I got on that highway and I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know where my landing mark was, but I knew I had to leave for me to be able to live. I knew I had to leave for my children to have an opportunity at something different. And so I did. Now, the background that I didn't give you is I grew up in an environment where domestic violence was prevalent, where emotional violence was prevalent. But I didn't understand that. I didn't even understand that there had been emotional abuse until a young child that I was working inside a correctional facility asked me to read a paper he wrote. And I began to tear up and tears flowed down my face because the reality happened. Like it was like somebody sticking me in my chest. A reality check where I woke up and I could see that I was that person. I had experienced that emotional abuse. I, looking hard on the outside, was so broken on the inside. And I was wearing this and I was carrying this into my relationships with friends in the community, into my work, into how I connected with my children. And that was a moment that I had to breathe because it was a relief that now I finally knew what was happening. I knew what the root was of what I was feeling.
Because wow, you said a whole lot in that, just in that answering that question. You said a whole lot. But you know, one thing good about what you said is that, and you said it from the beginning, and I said the same thing. It's not about being in the valley. It's not about going through the valley, because you can't get to the mountaintop without going through the valley. And it's in that valley we learn the greatest lesson. As our viewers are watching us, there may be people that are looking at you, looking at your story, listening to your story, rather, and saying to themselves, oh my God, that was me too. If she did it, so can I. If she did it, so can I. I can pull myself through with whatever that is going on with me now, and I can get to my desired destination. It may take long, but if I have hope, if I have faith, and if I have steps to take, guidance from people who've been there, watching videos like this, I know that I too can get there. So you stepped out. You mastered the courage as a young age with your children and you stepped out, but you had a vision as
Yeah.
you were stepping out. As you were stepping out, you had no idea where to go. Take me from that place to your next step.
So as I stepped out of there, I think the thing is I wanted to live. You know, I like to talk about that. I wanted to live. I had been existing and I wanted to live. I had thought that because of the great dream that we see on televisions where these houses are set up and the husband and wife are together and it's the happy life, happy wife. And that was not what it was for me. And I pretended for years like it was. But what I need you all to understand is as I was going in and I was making these decisions, what I realized is it was not just this relationship that was my starting point. There was a historical trauma connected. There was pains from childhood that were connected to every decision and every feeling that I had. So somebody could be in a situation where you're getting the red flags that are telling you no, but you're like, but it looks like, but it feels like, but they said. But if everything in your existence is saying no, listen to the warning signs. And I say to you, it's not that he beat me down or he cornered me. It was words and techniques that were used to isolate me and limit me. And he knew the power of me. He would use the power of me on me. He would say, why do they call you ma'am and they don't call me ma'am? Why do you get attention and I don't get attention? Why do you get what you want and I don't get what I want? And the reason is because from the beginning I was favored. Let's go back. I was born to a mother who knew she was dying. I was my own type of miracle. I was allowed to be, but I didn't know the value of me. So I settled to be what someone else needed me to be. So let's go back again. Let's hit it. Childhood abuse, as I went through sexual abuse in my childhood. And it was rapturing to me, but I always found myself wanting to be a safety net for someone else. I always had a heart where I could connect and shield others. But the thing was, because I didn't know the value of me, I never was doing the work to advocate and shield me. And so this day taking this step, it was not that I took it because I was like, oh, Regina, you got this. You're so strong. You're so powerful. It was that I don't want my lineage. I don't want my legacy to have to go through what I'm going through. I don't want my daughters to feel like they have to be with a man because a child has been born. I don't want my daughters to see themselves as less than. I don't want my son to think that the helpmate that he's married to is supposed to be less than, when if she's your helpmate, that means she has to be the best of her so that she can help you develop the best of you. And so it was a lot of step in, and it took a lot of digging, and it took a lot of feeling, because I went through a state of numbness. And he said, for me, I talk about my Heavenly Father, and we all have our own journey, but he said to me, I can't use you numb. I need you to feel this. This is how I'm going to get you through this. This is how I'm going to help you help others. It's because I need you to feel this, Regina. I need you to cry about this so that you can become an empty vessel. So I'll be the one that fills you with what you need to progress in.
Woo! Wow. You said it so well. And when I'm thinking about what you are saying, I'm thinking about the fact that oftentimes when we are going through journey, and each one of us, all of us, for the most part, have been through journey. We cannot be where we are without having gone through journey. But at the time we're going through that journey, it does not feel good. Does not feel. It was years later, years after, when you look back, you realize that you developed the muscles to be able to stand up right now because of the journey. You developed those muscles. If it wasn't for that journey, being in the valley, learning those lessons, that you wouldn't be able to stand on your 2 feet because the muscles will be weak. And so as you are standing, using that strong muscle, guess what? We get to pull other people, build them up, because we have been there. And oftentimes, we will save them the time. We will save them the agony because we have been there. And that's really about being another person's savior. Being another person's savior, because oftentimes we're looking for God to come from heaven. We're looking for God to come from heaven. But he put out, I believe that the reason that we are all here is to be his helpmate. Because we can see him. We cannot see him. But each and every one of us, if we help one another, his job would have been done. And oftentimes, we seem to forget the little things that matter. The little things. I cannot tell you how many DMs I get when I do some of these shows of people that will say, I watch your show. And as you know, people don't always comment when they watch the show. And there's no problem with that. But I will get DM from people who has watched the show and said, oh my God, I am going through the same thing right now.
Yes.
Now, through the lessons from this person's journey, I have a better idea what to do.
Yes.
Because her story is like my story. Like I said, it's not about telling the story. It's about telling the story, not only making a point, but pulling the lesson from the story and bless other people with it. That's really all we do here. And I love this conversation as we continue. Tell me, let's go back as a young girl. Because when I look at young girls right now, they are no exception.
Yeah.
They are no exception. What if this conversation is a conversation that they're going to look at and say, oh my God, I better not do it. And even if I did it already, I know how to get myself out of it so that I don't have to live the rest of my life living less than. I don't have to live the rest of my life living like I am nobody. I have no voice. They can live their life in full term. I say full term for a reason, because when you carrying a baby and you delivering that baby at full term, the baby will have less complication than if you're delivering that baby premature. That's why I say that.
Amen.
And so, take me back as a young child. Did you, young girl, not young child, as a young girl, was there any, before you get into this relationship, was there any thought of, was there any red flags, should I ask? Were there any red flags?
I love that, because there were red flags. There were several red flags throughout my journey. And I talk a little bit and say, before I was the age of 18, the trauma level in my life, if we look at adverse childhood experiences, I was off the Richter on that chart. I had dreams that I would die before I was the age of 25. And just to say that at my 25th birthday, I cried all day. I cried because I had no goals, no dreams, no ambitions after the age of 25. And so the dream that I seen as a little girl, where I was standing on a cathedral dressed in this ball gown in front of a multitude of people, and my husband comes out on stage, I thought it was over for me. I thought it was over for me because beyond 25, I didn't have a reality for me because of what I was seeing, because of what I was believing, because of culture, whatever the reasons people want to dig out. And it wasn't that good people had not come in my life. I just was trapped. And so as you were talking, there's a song piece that comes to me is, I am enough. I got everything that I need to succeed. I got everything, like everything's around you. It's around you within a community. So a little piece is, by 16, I had already given birth to a child. And by 16, I had already died to myself. There was a body that was walking around, a shell that was walking around everybody. And I had given birth to this baby. And while I was giving birth to this baby, I was numb. This is my son. And I'm having a male child, and I know that my life needs to change. I know my experiences need to change. I know that the people that I'm hanging around, I can't hang around no more, but there's no replacements. There was no replacements for me. And so as a young girl in school, I had people who that would say the most demeaning things, whose belief was that there was nothing else to me. And so one of the things was I was so busy fighting against data and statistics that had quoted to me about myself. I was refusing that I would have another baby by this age, or I was refusing that I would be on welfare. I was refusing that I would drop out of school, because I'm not a dropout. I'm a finisher. I knew that I was a finisher. I knew that because Regina Ann Henry was a finisher. She finished and she gave birth to me. The Regina means queen. She gave birth to her living legacy through me. And I'm sitting here giving birth to this baby. And it's funny because we're so waiting on this time and season that things are going to happen. But even when it was time for the birth of the child, and he's coming, and they wanted to be prepared for him to come, nobody could prepare. And so I'm in the delivery room, and this baby is coming. This dream is coming, right? This legacy is coming. This breakthrough is coming. This solution is coming, and it's right there. And you're looking and waiting for it to be packaged in a different way. But it came from this female child who had been broken and discouraged and didn't believe that there was anything else she could be. But today she was sitting on the delivery table, giving birth to a male child, giving birth through the door of my father's legacy to something next. And so that was a shift for me, because I was stuck and I was lost, because I was ready to give up and I didn't care no more. I didn't care. I was done with life. At 16, I'm telling y'all, 15, I was done with life. I was already sick and tired of being sick and tired. So I'm going to tell you, and I don't want a young girl to go get pregnant, because it was painful. It was isolating. It was confusing. But I'm telling you, if I wouldn't have given birth to the baby, I don't know if today there would be a me.
Yes.
He gave me something different. He pushed me in a different way. And God began to speak to me through that baby. He began to speak to me, that male child that I have right now that's 25 years old. He says things to me, or I can go and I can study the word, and he can see some stuff that I could not see. He says, Mom, write the book. He says, Mom, when you speak, you're a powerhouse. Nobody has to say it, but Mom, I've been seeing it for years. Mom, you're intended to touch the world on purpose. Mom, I know that you had to struggle with some things, but you made things look like they was wonderful. You made it look like we was full of everything. And so sometimes what you give birth to is the very thing that's going to be the encouragement of you.
Wow. Say it again. That's right. That's right.
Sometimes what you give birth to will be the encouragement of you. And so as I go back through that, like when we take the steps to change ourselves, we take the steps to change the world. We become the ripples that cause change for the world. You thought you knew, but the system that you knew is being broken, because there's a new taking place, a refreshing taking place. If we remember that relationships are the foundational currency of humanity, and without you being connected to the right people who have the right resources or the right understanding, you get stuck. We are a socialized humanity, right? A socialized industry, a socialized tribe. We do what we're told is the right thing to do, but it's a season that you got to go into you before you can do the point where you step up, for you can do the point where you step out, for you can do the point that you step forward. So it's a season now where we walk into places and we bring who we are. We bring the authentic self, because you've done the work, not that you've compared yourself to anybody else. You've done the work on you. You sat there and understood that I wasn't just giving birth to a baby. I wasn't just giving birth to a dream. I wasn't just giving birth to a business. I wasn't just giving birth to a platform. What I was doing was awakening a generation that would flow after me, a generation that would be a living legacy for me. And if all I'm giving is my pain, then everyone begins to operate in shame.
Yes, yes, yes. You said it so well. And when you were talking, and I'm thinking, you were at the age of 16 with a baby. And what I want our viewers to listen to this, because I want you to know that where you are right now in life is not the end of your life. Where you are right now, if you are that young girl, perhaps you have accidentally got pregnant and you're thinking, oh my God, I'm going to be among the statistics. People are going to talk about me. I'm going to end up like the rest of them. I want you to know there's so many young girls that have done that and have come on top, and some of them we can hear about them today. And my guest star today is a good example. That just because you have stumbled one point or time out of your own making, or not because of your own making, it really doesn't matter. That you have stumbled at one time in your life when you were young, that doesn't mean your life has to stay there. That doesn't mean that your life has to be there. If you can learn the lesson and be a blessing for another woman, another young woman, that would have worth the trouble. If you can learn the lesson and don't keep the lesson within you, share the lesson. Lessons like this we are learning on this platform, that you can have a baby at whatever age young you were, and still your life begins to grow. And still you begin to discover a lot of things about you that you never knew that it was possible. If you weren't in that valley, none of that would have been possible. So I want you to keep the hope alive, keep the faith alive, and know that your journey is to bless other people, and you need to share it as well. So as we continue in this conversation, my God.
Hold on, real quick. You said something powerful.
You don't look like the things you went through, isn't it?
You said something
Go ahead.
My man. And you're talking about being in that valley, and you're talking about being in that pain, those pain points, those pressure points, right? But in those pressure points is power. In that painful point is power, right? I've met people who started businesses when we stepped into 2020, right? They got laid off of jobs. They exited marriages. They lost family members. And in those pain points, there's power, because there's power if you claim it. There's power if you identify it. And there's power if you choose to work it, right? If you choose to work this thing. If you choose to understand that I knew I was out there. I knew I was hurting. I knew that I needed to be that person when I grew up that loved on young people like no other. So I could tap in. I could see a young person and I can grab them in from off the street, from anywhere. I can go serve in a place, working in corrections and serving in there. I knew I could go in the darkness and be the light, because I had already been in darkness and already had received the light. So when I received the light, why couldn't I give the light, right? Those are things I knew. And so when you're in that dark place, stop asking the question of why me. Start asking the question of what am I to be? Start asking the question of where are the resources that surround me? Because when you begin to open up your mouth and ask the questions, right, you're going to see what you align with. If you see yourself as a victim, everything is going to stay set up for you to be a victim. But if you begin to see yourself as operating in a state of victory, right? I'm at war. Warriors, when they go to war, come on. When a warrior goes to war, they go to war knowing that they're going to win. They don't go to war saying I'm going to. They don't go to war saying life's over for them. They go to war looking for their winning points. They've already strategically aligned themselves with people in their space that are making the power moves and understand who they are. Not only that, they already have the resources. They've allowed themselves to see what the resources are that they need. I know for me, I need resources when it comes to people that are in line that can get in the doors that I haven't been into, right? I know that Regina doesn't, the Lord never told me I would be local. The Lord told me that I would go global. And when he told me that I would go global, he told me consistently that the doors would be open in a way that it was going to enlighten those back with me, right? And so when you think about that, you're going, she was carrying the baby. She was the bamboo tree who was in hiding, the bamboo tree that was unseen, unheard, unvalued, but was still being fertilized, the bamboo tree that broke ground. And when it broke ground, it began to soar quickly, right? It was accelerated growth. And so when that happens, you have to identify that didn't just come from the person, or it didn't just come from the inside of the seed. There had to be a breaking point so that there could be a breaking loose. And as the break loose happened, it wasn't just to impact the tree. It wasn't just supposed to impact the grounds that it grew on, but it was supposed to impact humanity. And so the reason why the breaking has to happen, it can only happen. And the reason it has to happen because what's in you has to break through. And if there's not a break-in where they're not going to get access to what's in you, baby, I know it hurts. I know right now it hurts. I know they told you you're nothing, but I'm going to tell you, there's no part of you that's a mistake. Everything's on purpose. And in this season, you're going to have to align you. You're going to have to make a decision that you are the one that needs to receive the breakthrough. You're going to have to make a decision that greater is yet to come for you. You're going to have to begin to speak to yourself, because even as I tell you to speak to yourself, greats have spoken to themselves. They have given place and space to get the breakthrough on themselves. And so when they broke through, they broke you through. When they broke through, they broke you through. But you got to take the step. You got to take the step. Are you hungry for better? Do you believe that greater is yet to come? Do you believe that there is a kingdom set up in your legacy that's going to break through your lungs? I'm just telling you, you're here. But you got to do it like you. Stop trying to do it like, whew, come on. I'm sorry. I'm about to go. Stop.
Yes. You got to do it like yourself. You got to do it like yourself. You know, I remember myself. And it's a long story. But just a snippet of it. It's getting into this business, this thing that I want to do. This thing that I want to do is really changing other people's life. People that are like me. People that are like me. People that are going through what I went through. Being able to stand up and speak your mind. Being able to express yourself. Not thinking of what anybody else feel about you or think about you. And as a matter of fact, realizing that nobody's really thinking anything about you, that it's all in your head trash. But when you can go into that head and really work on your head trash, everything changes. Doors begin to open. Things that you never imagined. But guess what? You never imagined, but I have to say it differently. Things that have been in your mind, but you never thought it will come true because of your limitation. Things that you've always wanted to do, they're right here, always been right here, but you never voiced it out because you don't think you will do it. You never voice it out because other people are going, you think other people are going to judge you. You never voice it out because of your limitation, because people will begin to judge you, because people will begin to say, who does she think she is? And because of it, you were silent. You getting ready to do your very first video. You know what you wanted to put out there. You know what you wanted to help people before because you've been through it. But in your mind, you doubting yourself. Am I good enough? Can I do that? Who wants to listen to me? Who do you think you are? You can hardly pronounce anything for people to understand, and here you are thinking that people are going to listen to you. What if they ask you a question and you're not able to answer? Now what? Everybody know that you can. Now what happens? You dim your light, your voice, you just zip, and you carrying that and carrying it and carrying it. You know you're not comfortable where you are right now. You know you're not comfortable. Whether it's in a relationship, whether it's in your business, whether it's in your work, whether it's in your personal life, you know you're not comfortable where you are. But because of what other people will say, because of other people's perception, you succumb. You stay where you are because you don't want to be vulnerable. When I tell you, when I decided to be vulnerable and get out and say what I need to say and reach out to somebody and touch another woman, let me tell you, like I said, this is not about me, but I'm sharing this to help somebody out there, right? That I knew exactly what was entrusted in me to do. There wasn't any question. When I don't think about what other people will say, I said it before even I knew what it meant. And then when I got out there, all of a sudden, oh, now I'm thinking about what other people will say. When I didn't think about other people, I wrote it down and I put a poster. You were supposed to get out there, inspire, empower women globally. I had no idea what I was saying. But you know what? That was really what's in here. That's really what I was supposed to do. And immediately I realized what I said and what, oh my God, I was captivated. Fear held me hostage. And that's the same thing that goes with a lot of women. And I say women because I serve women. I say women because oftentimes you can see a man, and I'll give an example of work. The men are qualified for this work. They're not thinking about it. A man is not thinking about whether he qualifies for that job. He's putting in for that job. He's believing he's going to get that job. He put in the application. But here we are as women. We got, oh, I don't have this, I don't have this, I don't have this. And at the end, we don't put in that application. And so that's confidence, believing in yourself, trusting in your purpose, in what you've been given. But instead of saying, in my own case, why can't I do it? I began to ask the question, how can I get this thing done? When I began to ask that question, how can I get it done? People begin to come across my path that I never would have thought possible. Let me tell you.
You're right.
Until you change the message right here. Until you begin to ask a different question. And in asking that question, meaning you're surrounding yourself with people that you know, not only friends, but also they may not be going where you're going, but they can see your vision. I tell you, I have 4 groups of friends. I have 4 groups of friends. And I have friends, when I need them to pray for me, I know exactly who to call. I have friends when I need pity party, I know exactly who to call. And I have friends that will say, is that all? What you gotta do? They don't want to hear about your pity party. They're not there to pray for you. That's what's next. Let's go there. And so you have to have people who support you in one way or the other. You have to have people who support you in one way or the other. And as we dive into this conversation, because you and I can have this conversation all day, but we don't have all day to say. Instead, I will bring you about next time. But let me tell you, if you go back, we're talking about women, helping that woman, that is one person that is watching right now. Success, you have it. And success is different for everyone.
Yes.
But being where you are at your level right now, what made it possible? Give us some tips that made it possible from going from that woman, that young girl with $164 in her pocket. How did you step from there to being this global right now, that people are calling you for speaking engagement to impact other lives. How did you get that? Give us one thing that we can do if somebody's watching right now.
The first one that I would give you is get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's the first thing that I'm going to give you. And the reason I say that to you is because within just the past 3 years, 2.5, 3 years of my life, everything has not been in the order that I felt it should be in. And it didn't. So some of us have this thing where we want this goal line set up and we know we're going to accomplish it by this day and it's going to look this way. And you got to get to the point where you understand the foundation and you're willing to take the steps and watch the transformation take place. You know, and I love that you was just speaking and some of the things you were just tying to were when I stepped out and I ran for city council. I knew nothing about government policies. I knew nothing about this thing. All I knew is that my city needed to be revived, restored, and unified. All I knew is that the voices of those that had been silenced needed to be heard. So what I need you to hear too is that your passion is going to align you. He's giving you that passion. You've been given that thing that you focus on, that you talk about, that you dream on for a purpose. It's not by accident that you care about supporting and taking up for people and training and developing people. That's not an accident. That's on purpose, right? It's not by accident that when I open up my mouth, the very thing that was being told to me younger, you think you know everything, you ask too many questions, you got the deep voice. Why is your voice so deep? You command every room you walk into, all those things. When I went in correction, this voice was safety and security. People felt safe, secured, and they felt heard and valued. The next point, when I going into politics, they hear you, they understand you, they trust the voice. And when you go on the platforms to speak, people want clarity. They want to feel you when you speak and feel impacted by the words that you say. And so as you get it, it was used in different ways, but it still identify what your gifts are. You got to know who you are. You're trying to know what they like, but you don't know who you are. I love poetry. I love singing. I love dance. So I love creative arts. I love people. Right. And so I know I was called to do something that aligned with people. And so that vulnerability, when you go back, get comfortable being uncomfortable, that's vulnerability. That's vulnerability. Right now in the present day, I work for YWCA Northeast Kansas as the racial justice and advocacy coordinator. Does that not just align with what I was just telling you?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Because I have a love for people. I can go in any audience of people from any social economical background. I can sit with them and love on all of them because I love humanity. I love the person. I love their gifts and talents, and understanding that people make mistakes, but you don't get mad at the person. You evaluate the behaviors so you can get the understanding of how to work with them on those behaviors. And so I would tell you, one, get comfortable being uncomfortable, because we've been in these comfort zones too long. It's time for you to shake you up. If you want to soar, if you want to create the business, if you want to go into government, if you want to write the book, if you want to leave the relationship or you want to be in a marriage, it's going to take you doing the work. But you got to dig, because every time you dig, you're going to find something else about yourself. The other part is I read all the time. Like I'm reading, I'm learning, I'm experiencing. And I need you to understand, some of you have already graduated with several degrees from different programs. But remember, that is all information that somebody agreed that this is the system that's set up that you need to get. And you're going to have to dig deeper than that, because if you don't, you're only going to have the intellect of what everyone else has the intellect and understanding of. And if you're going to be the great in your field, you're going to have to go deeper and understand that greatness is not aligned with male or female. Greatness is aligned with you. Greatness comes from you. So be it. So be it, right? So be it. Another piece I will tell you is sozo. There's a word that says sozo. And the word is rescue and deliverance. You are your rescue and deliverance. You are your rescue and deliverance. If you're sitting and you're waiting on the boat, I need you to go on and get up. And I always explain it as the ship has landed. The reason why, because I need you to understand that it's about to be something different happening. And if you're sitting in front of the television, if you're sitting with those and you're drinking and smoking and you're just hanging out, murmuring and complaining, if you want greatness to happen, I'm going to need you to do something abnormal and let that ship land. Y'all getting it? You don't understand it yet, but when you understand, ships don't fly. And if the ship got to land, that means somehow you got to create a flying ship and you got to do something different. The other thing I would say to you is that when we talk about being humble, when we talk about that word of being humble, as a kid, being humble and meek meant that I just gave to every and anybody and pretty much let them walk over me. To be humble and meek is to know where your help comes from. It's to know where your help comes from. It's not that you let everybody else get everything and you become the last one. No, you're the first one under that you have to make sure you're taking care of, because if you're not doing self-care and taking care of yourself, you can't help nobody else, right? The other fact is, if you're not taking care of, are you saying, if you're Christian or your religious backgrounds, are you saying that the one that you serve made you broken and made you not enough? Because if you believe that they made you full and made you enough, that means you're gonna have to do the work on you. That means you gotta understand that when you walk out, that everything you do is a reflection of the ones you're called to. And so I gave y'all a lot of stuff. I just keep talking, y'all.
Oh my God. Yes, you have. Like I said, I am definitely gonna bring you back. I'm definitely gonna bring you back. And one of the things you shared is so much, and being vulnerable. I train women on being able to narrate your story. And when you are narrating your story, there's vulnerability there. When I am sharing how I could hardly speak in public, I mean, there's vulnerability there. I was sharing how, like, I can get it. I can get it. There's vulnerability there. But let me tell you, it's through that it allows you to actually be you. Because I think what happens, and I did it too early on in my career, and that is trying to sound like everybody else, trying to say like everybody else, trying to cross my T's and dot my I's like everybody else. The point of the matter is, when you are doing that, you're denying other people to know the real you. I talked to you earlier and you said you have a unique voice. I can't sound like anybody else except Christy. I cannot sound like anybody else except me. But when I was trying to sound like you, sound like Mary, sound like Shaniqua, listen, you talk to this person, you sound different. You talk to this person, you sound different. When I began to sound like me, it doesn't matter. Everybody, and I realize that this is one thing I realized. When somebody that has been assigned to me hear my voice, they will listen. It doesn't matter how I say it. They will lean in and listen to understand what I'm saying. If you are not somebody that has been assigned to me to serve, I don't care how I cross my T's and dot my I's. Guess what? You're just gonna keep going. And so I quit trying. And when I quit trying, everything aligned. When I quit trying to make it sound so good, right? I'm comfortable in my own skin. I am so comfortable in my own skin. When I come out to speak, I know people are gonna listen. But I also know that that person is listening because there's something about me that is drawing that person in. They are not just listening because I'm so perfect. There's something that is drawing them in. And if there's nothing that's drawing them in, they're going to go past me. And so if I have to say, it's really trying to be yourself. And you said it so well, because women, We are so good at this. We are so good at this. And I use myself as an example any minute. Trying to be somebody else, there's nothing wrong with you. If I can say it over and over and over again, there's nothing wrong with you. And so I applaud you. I thank you for the work that you do with men and women.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, when you continue to share your message of hope, your message of inspiration, as we do it on this show, because that's what we do, inspire and empower other people to look at the stories that we've been through and say, oh my God, if they did it, I can too. Because when we don't share that, we are denying others. We're denying in sharing the blessing that we have been given. And I say that sharing is blessing. And that's why I do this show. Even if it's one person that get blessed by this show, it would have worth it for me. So let's come to close on this show and tell us what you are working on right now.
So, and thank you for asking that question. Currently, I have an initiative. It's called Step Into Your Rhythm. The piece of Step Into Your Rhythm is going in with families, individuals, communities, businesses, and we have the conversation and we look back at some of the steps that they've already taken and outline and give them clarity on the steps that worked for them so that they can debunk those that have not worked for them. And then what we need them to understand, I work with them on understanding, is that there's some new stuff that they need to strategize, some new outlines, some new steps that they're going to have to take. But they normally, when we look at the data, it intersects with the steps that the things that they've already been great at, like they've already been doing the work at. And so we outline those. So that's coaching services, speaking engagements. I've been taking on. And I do restorative practices as well, where we sit and build that community up again, where we give voice to all, assisting with helping companies and families understand that each individual person within the family plays a valuable part, and we have to give voice to everyone. Actually, not long after I get out of here, I'm actually on my way to go speak at a Juneteenth event. And that's going to be awesome. Because I'm giving data and information on what's happening within the community in alignment. So, we talk about the cost of freedom. And so understanding what the cost of freedom is, you have to understand what the responsibility is that each of us as individuals have to take to advocate for one another, advocate for changes within the community that are going to allow everyone to be seen, heard, and valued. So those are some.
Brian, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead, please.
No, I was just saying that is some of the work. I just came out of a Women's of Revival, Save Yourself Revival, that we put on just because we felt like women needed a safe place where they can come into the arms of the Father again and be embraced and be empowered to, again, take the next step. And so a lot of that is stepping and helping people. It's not that you conquer everything. I was ready to give up at 16 because I was kind of trying to conquer everything. The only thing I need to be conquering is the step. Once I conquer that step, I can always grab hold of the next step.
Awesome. So quickly, because we're running out of time, for those who don't know who Juneteenth is, can you just say what it is?
Emancipation Proclamation within the United States of America took place back in 1883, I believe 84, 1885. They had to come in because the slaves that were the trapped people that were in the Texas region were still being held captive. And so they came in and they read the proclamation in the presence, went plantation to plantation, home to home, and reading it. And so what happened from that point, the Black bodies of America were freed, but we have to understand that there was a journey after then where the mind had to be freed. And we're still on that journey because of generational trauma. But I need you all to check in and tap in so you can read and understand that it was part of a journey or a celebration, but we still must continue that journey.
Awesome, awesome. And that ties in with the power of self-ownership, which is what this conversation is all about. Inspiring you, empowering you to take in the lesson from this conversation today, to realize that the power of self-ownership is worth having, because freedom, as you said, it comes with price. How can they get you? How can they get you?
On Facebook. On Facebook, you can tap into the stepologist, Regina Platt. I believe on my Twitter the same way. And so right now, those are the two formats I am using, but you can always as well, once the posting comes out and my website is complete, we're still working. I wanted some tweaks done, but the website will be the Stepologist. And then the other website partnered with is Step Into Your Rhythm for the initiative. You can always inbox me. I'm always open for an awesome conversation. I'm telling you, I talk, as you can tell. Not only do I talk, I listen. I'm not going to give you the answers. I'm going to expect that I'll work with you for you to get the answers for yourself. It's only authentic if you do the work to receive it.
Awesome, awesome. Audience, thank you all for watching. I really appreciate being here and having this conversation. Every week I bring you guests that really going to add value to your life, to your business, to live a more fulfilling life. And when I'm not doing this show, I train female entrepreneurs, coaches, individuals to narrate their story, to stand out, to free themselves so that they can live more fulfilling life, to attract and enroll more of their ideal clients with ease. That's what I do. And as a matter of fact, you can go to my website and opt in and be connected at narrateyourstorynow.com. narrateyourstorynow.com. And we do this show every Thursday, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Every Thursday, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I cannot wait to talk to you. I want you to share your opinion. Share what you've got. Share the nuggets, what you got from the conversation today. Until next time, thank you so much, Dr. Regina Platt. And I'll see you around. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.